Boom! How's it going? Yeah. Have you ever thought that you can actually buy a property with no money? I know that, yes, it might be a conspiracy for others, and others are thinking, TJ, it cannot be done. Well, who is that TJ? It is I, the author of the book, From Bad Debt to Property Mogul. You can literally get that book on my website. The link is in below. But I am here to talk about no money deals. Can you actually buy a property with no money? Well, I was out and about and I met out someone else who's cool. And I like his strategy and I've never done it before. And I thought, well, let me educate my fellow South Africans on how best you can actually buy properties with no money. And in this video here, I'm going to show you a very simple, systematic way in which you can do it. And I've got a friend of mine who's called Tabo, and Tabo is a real person, right? Sometimes we call a person Tabo, but Tabo is actually a real person. Now, out of this, let me educate you on how Tabo does it. And I think it's quite genius. Whether you are employed, whether you have no income, this strategy will work. Because why? Because I've seen it working with Tabo, and I have actually done another video with Tabo where you can actually see a property that I visited where he is doing this right here in South Africa. So let me explain how this works. So you are buying a property with no money at all. And I'm going to make an assumption here that you have no income at all. So that I'm going to the extreme so that this can make sense for everyone, right? And I'm going to make an assumption that, you do have some form of credit, right? In terms of your credit reporting. So your credit scoring is good. So that's assumption number one. Assumption number two is that we're making sure that you have no income. So that's assumption number two. But this time around, you want to buy a property with no money down at all. So the first one, what are we going to do? Well, like Tabo, he goes out into the market and he looks for properties. So what kind of a property it is, it doesn't really matter. Well, let's talk about it. It can be maybe a house, and this is what Tabo does. He goes on to buy a house. Well, he's not buying at this time, but he's actually scouting for properties that can be either a full house and maybe it might have one or two cottages. But that doesn't really matter at all. But for me, it does matter because the more living space I've got, the happier I am because I can fetch more money. Now, when Tabo goes out to look for a property, let's just assume, right, in this area that he's looking for, in a particular area, let's just say in an area called Kempton Park, it's next door to the airport. We all been to the airport, or we should be at the airport. I don't know, I don't care. But let's just say you are in Kempton Park. So you find a property. The market value in this area is, let's say, 1 million rand. As it is 1 million rand, what do? Tabo goes on to buy a property, to scout for a property. And this property here is less than the market value, right? So he's looking for properties on the roundabout, maybe the 700, the 800,000, and bearing in mind it's have more living space on it. And what does he do thereafter? He doesn't buy the property. He goes out and rents the property for more than a year. So he goes out to rent the property for about a year to 2 years, all right? So that's his first step. He finds a property and then he rents it out for, let's just say, 2 years. With that, he then takes the same property and then he rents it out to a third party. So when he's renting out the same property, let's assume that this property's value is around about 700. He's going to rent it out for, let's say, around about anything above 7,000 to around about 12,000 rand. Why do I say 12,000 rand? Because it might have external other living spaces so that he can rent out. So let's just assume that he's going to rent out the entire place for 7,000 rand, but he is going to rent it out to a third party this time round for round about 10,000 rand. Okay, so we make the mathematics very easy. He's renting it in for 7,000, he's renting it out for 10,000, which then means that he is making profit by just renting it out. Now, this strategy is called a rent to rent. But Tabo doesn't stop there. What it does is that this money now starts coming into his bank account. Number one, what he is now doing is he is creating income on his balance sheet, an income statement. Everyone, you should have an income statement and a balance sheet, right? And out of that, when he has an income, by the time he's going to go to the bank is going to see that he has got a steady income. The bank is only satisfied or wants to know whether you got an income that's coming in. Where it's coming through, how it's coming in, they really don't care, but whether the money is coming in. Can you prove that the money is coming in? Yes, he can, because he's got a contract that he's got. So he can prove that this 10,000 Rand is coming from rent. Okay, so for the next 6 months, Tabo is going to receive rent money, 10,000, but he is also going to pay rent 7,000. So he's making profit on his income statement. Does that make sense? It's very clear, very simple, straightforward. Can anyone do that? Yes, you can. What's stopping you? There's nothing. But it doesn't stop there. Remember, Tabo's view is to go and buy this property. That's what he's after. So what he's done is he didn't just do a rent to rent. He did what's called a rent to rent, but with first option to buy. So he has the first right to buy this property, and up front, he's already negotiated the price of buying the property. Clever, isn't it? Yeah. But now that we have agreed on the price, or should I say Tabo has agreed on the price, what does he do? The price may be now on the property 700,000. If you got an income of 10,000 Rand and you got 3,000 as your profit, the bank is not really going to give you that much. But you never know. Each bank has its own criteria. So for instance, the likes of Absa, Standard Bank, they've got products where they will consider the rental income and the future rental income of a property. So in this case, you got a flat 10,000 that's coming through. They will consider that over and above your 3,000 profit, which is your disposable income. So the bank is now going to give you a little bit more. Will you able to get all the way to 700,000 if you agreed on 700,000? Well, it now depends on the deal. But simply said, on this one, it is very much possible. However, let me then throw in another curveball. If you have two properties like those ones that you're doing rent to rent with an option to buy, or maybe 5 properties, it basically means that your income statement is now a little bit fat. So you now have more money coming in, which means that by the time you're going to go to the bank is going to see you favorable. This time around, all you have done is you have set yourself for success with the bank, and the bank is going to favor you in giving you a loan. That way, you have no money that you have actually put in the deal, but what you have done is you have rented the property out, got someone else to rent it and pay the rent on your behalf, and then this time around you go to the bank. The 3,000 that you've been getting, you can actually save that money for your transfers and for your renovations and all of those things. You are not pressed. You're on a 2-year rental agreement. So with that, you can then be able to actually buy this property with no money. I don't know how I can explain this a little bit detailed, but this is how one of my boys whose name is Tabo does it. I think you can do it. I want to exploit it, but I'm going to exploit it with big buildings and see how that goes. My name is TJ Taurai Jack, and if you've never been here before, this is what we do, talking about such kind of things. And it's not just from an educational perspective, but this is what I do every day. I also do it with other people who are like-minded, like you, and I invest alongside you. And if you're one of those people who are wanting to invest, the link is in below. You can reach out to me and we can start doing some business. But for now, I'll check you on the next video.